Imagine standing barefoot on the rocky ground of a prehistoric landscape. The earth beneath you is cold and uneven, scattered with sharp stones and prickly grass. The wind bites, the rain seeps, and every step carries the risk of injury or infection. Now imagine, in that moment, realizing that you could wrap your feet with animal hide, or weave plant fibers to create a barrier between you and the world. That simple act, protecting your feet, would go on to shape not only human comfort, but also migration, identity, culture, and even social class. The story of shoes begins long before fashion or craftsmanship. It begins with survival. Archaeological evidence suggests that early humans started covering their feet at least 40,000 years ago, possibly even earlier. In fact, scientists studying ancient footprints have noticed that certain fossilized prints lack the distinct toe marks that bare feet leave. Instead, they show smoother impressions, hinting that the people who made them were wearing some kind of protective footwear. The earliest shoes weren't made for style, they were made to endure. In regions like Siberia, where icy conditions threatened human existence, footwear made from animal skins, straw, and fur kept hunters alive. In warmer climates, thin sandals made of plant fibers or bark helped prevent burns and blisters, while still allowing airflow. Shoes were born from necessity, a way to protect, survive, and adapt to new terrains. The oldest actual shoe ever discovered, known as the Aranayan shoe, was found in an Armenian cave and dates back more than 5,500 years. It's made of tanned leather, shaped perfectly to fit a human foot, and laced up tightly with leather cords. What's fascinating is how modern it looks. Its design resembles a contemporary moccasin, proof that even our ancestors cared about both functionality and fit. Whoever made it didn't just craft a tool, they designed comfort. As civilization advanced, shoes became more than mere protection. They evolved into cultural and social symbols. In ancient Egypt, for instance, shoes were both practical and symbolic. Most Egyptians went barefoot, but sandals made from papyrus or palm leaves were worn by the elite. Pharaohs and priests donned ornate versions, often decorated with gold and jewels, representing divine authority. For the rest of society, shoes were a privilege, not a necessity. Meanwhile, in ancient Mesopotamia, artisans were crafting shoes from leather that were sturdy enough for long treks but detailed enough to display craftsmanship. The idea that shoes could reflect identity, status, occupation, or personality began to take root. Then came ancient Greece and Rome, where footwear became a true art form. Greek sandals were minimal but elegant, designed to keep the body cool in the Mediterranean heat. Each city-state had its own style, and some designs even denoted social rank. The Romans took it further, creating an entire footwear hierarchy. Soldiers wore heavy-duty caligae, the famous hobnailed sandals that carried the legions across continents. Senators wore red leather boots, symbolizing power. Slaves, on the other hand, often went barefoot. Their lack of shoes became a visible marker of subjugation. By now, shoes weren't just about the feet. They were about who you were. When the Middle Ages arrived, Europe's shoes began to reflect changing technologies and tastes. Leathercraft improved, and new tools allowed for shaped soles and fitted designs. But one of the strangest fashion trends in history emerged in the 14th century. The poulain. These were long, pointed soles so long that the tips sometimes had to be tied to the wearer's knees with strings. Nobles competed to see who could wear the longest points, as it became a symbol of wealth and leisure. The longer your toes, the less work you obviously did. Ironically, while the upper classes flaunted excess, common folk stuck to practicality. Peasants wore simple wooden clogs, what we now call sabots, durable and easy to repair. These clogs became iconic symbols of the working class, particularly in Northern Europe. In the Renaissance, shoes took another leap. Artisans began making left and right shoes separately, a small change that transformed comfort forever. Before that, shoes were identical on both feet, which meant they had to be worn until they molded into shape. This period also saw decorative flourishes buckles, embroidery, velvet, and silk, turning shoes into miniature works of art. By the 17th and 18th centuries, Footwear had become a full-blown fashion statement. Men and women alike wore heels. Yes, men too. In fact, high heels began as a masculine accessory. Persian cavalry soldiers wore heeled boots to keep their feet secure in stirrups. European aristocrats later adopted the style to signify nobility and sophistication. King Louis XIV of France, famous for his towering red heels, made them a symbol of royal privilege. His court decreed that only the nobility could wear them, and only red ones, of course. As history rolled forward, shoes became mirrors of culture and technology. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution brought mass production. And for the first time, shoes became widely affordable. Factories replaced cobblers, and machine stitching replaced hand sewing. People could now buy footwear suited for specific purposes. Boots for work, slippers for home, and formal shoes for events. The shoe had become not just a need, but a choice. In America, pioneers and cowboys turned boots into icons. The rugged leather cowboy boot, with its high heel and decorative stitching, symbolized independence and grit. Across the ocean, in Victorian England, modesty ruled. Women's boots were laced tightly, covering the ankle, because showing too much of the foot was considered scandalous. Then came the 20th century, the age of innovation. Materials changed everything. Rubber soles, first developed for military use, became standard in civilian footwear. Companies like Converse and later Nike transformed shoes into statements of style, athleticism, and rebellion. The sneaker was born a shoe that could move between function and fashion seamlessly. In the 1960s, and 70 segundos shoes became political. Platform shoes, bold colors, and unisex designs reflected the cultural revolutions of the time. They weren't just accessories. They were declarations of identity. Punk boots, disco heels, minimalist sandals. Every design told a story about freedom, rebellion, or belonging. But while modern culture embraced variety, one truth persisted. Shoes still defined class and character. Luxury brands like Gucci, Prada, and Louboutin turned footwear into status symbols. A pair of red-bottomed heels or handcrafted Italian loafers could silently declare wealth and prestige. Meanwhile, sneakers evolved from gym wear into high fashion, a strange twist that merged athletic function with celebrity culture. Yet, as technology advanced, shoes began to serve new purposes again, echoing their ancient roots of survival. Scientists and designers started crafting specialized shoes for health, performance, and sustainability. Running shoes that adapt to gait, orthopedic soles that support posture, and biodegradable sneakers made from algae or mushrooms all reveal a return to harmony between body, environment, and innovation. Even psychology plays a role. Studies show that shoes can influence not only how others perceive us, but how we perceive ourselves. Wearing sturdy boots can make us feel more confident. Comfortable sneakers can increase focus. High heels alter posture, and even change how we walk, stand, and express emotion. In many ways, shoes don't just protect our feet. They shape our identities from the ground up. And here, that's the surprising thing. The next chapter of footwear might not involve shoes at all. Researchers are developing exoskeletal footgear, wearable technology that enhances movement, reduces fatigue, or even generates energy as you walk. Meanwhile, in virtual spaces, avatars are wearing digital sneakers worth thousands of dollars, bought with cryptocurrency, proof that, even in the metaverse, humanity's obsession with footwear continues. So, when did we start wearing shoes? The answer I sent to Justadate. It's a story of evolution, culture, and imagination. We began wearing them to survive. But as we built societies, shoes began to tell stories of where we'd been, and where we hope to go. From ancient caves to virtual worlds, from straw sandals to self-lacing sneakers, shoes are one of humanity's greatest inventions, not because they carry us forward, but because they reveal everything about the journey itself. Every footprint left in history tells the same truth. Long before we could build cities, write poetry, or reach the stars, we learned to walk, and we decided to protect that walk with something we made ourselves. That was the first step, not just in footwear, but in civilization itself.